Across Siouxland, another legislative session has come to a close, and tonight, Tim continues his discussion with two first-time Iowa lawmakers, including a discussion on two of the major issues they faced.
Representative J.D. Scholten, a Democrat, with us again this evening, and Republican State Senator Kevin Alonso, again, both thanks for taking your time to join us. I just want to get your opinions a little bit about, it looks so mean sometimes. The debate is literally worse than mudslinging to a lot of people. Does that bother you at all, and should that be changed?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of passion on both sides, I'll say. One of the things that we saw down there, I saw pretty consistently, is a lot of the controversial bills had bipartisan opposition but was passed with a Republican majority. And so we were hoping that there's more bipartisanship on a lot of bills, but ultimately it was just the opposition that got most of the bipartisanship. It
looks very mean, Senator Alonso, is it?
Well, like you said, the rhetoric is very heated. I think it often goes really over the top, and it comes off really in that way. And some of the arguments that people make, I just think are extreme. But at the end of the day, we got a lot of stuff done, as we talked about before. There's a lot of things that there's common ground on, and a lot of progress is made on it. Things that were good for Iowa, and I would say no, it's not as bad as it feels in the moment, because this can be uncomfortable.
The Republican Party has generally been seen as that party that wants things done locally, pushes for local control, but yet this session had so many items that took away local control. Can you explain that for folks that may be puzzled?
There are some things for sure that were done at the state level that really kind of go against that overarching, I think, objective of trying to push things local. Trying to put guardrails in place, put maybe some state level definitions, and hopefully we can preserve and continue to focus on local control there and in other issues in the future.
The transgender bill was taking away the right for someone to have a transgender surgery. JD, were you disappointed in that part of the LGBTQ legislation that was passed?
Absolutely, because immediately I know two families that are moving out of the state to Minnesota so their kids can just go to high school, to have a regular high school experience. And I would love to think that I was a more welcoming place, but with this legislation, it's government telling kids that they can't be who they want to be.
Just briefly, do you think that sends the message, Kevin, that this is not a friendly state?
I don't think so. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about procedures that are experimental, we're talking about minors, right? I mean, when you brought it, you said people, but it's in particular, it's minors that these limitations are put in place.
Another of those issues that was, obviously talked about in the communities, and it was the governor's top priority this year, was the school vouchers bill, the funding for private school education. I'm just curious the response that each of you have had as the application period is now open for that through the end of June. JD, what?
Yeah, I've heard from the school board here that said it would cut Sioux City Public Schools funding by 8%, which is already going in the wrong direction. And to me, that bill was the single most fiscally irresponsible bill ever to be passed at the Capitol, because there are no limits to it. There's no audit or reporting to see if the voucher system is working or not. And so I would just hope that we can clean that up a little bit, just to show like we can do some reporting on if it's a successful program or not.
I support education choice. I think that giving that parents the option regardless of what their economic status is, I think is a good development. I've talked to some other senators about how to handle those kids with special needs, and I think there could be some additional changes to accommodate that and some other things as well. But I think it's a really good first step, and I think we'll be able to build on it.
Next year, you'll be sophomores in the legislature, so you're no longer the new kids on the block. Senator Alonso, Representative Scholten, really do appreciate the time for the conversation.
Absolutely.